We're talking about that huge, frustrating gap between project management training and what it actually takes to succeed out there in the real world. We're going to break down why the old ways just aren't cutting it anymore. So, you did it. You've got the certificate, you aced the exams. But here's the real question, isn't it? Are you actually ready for what's coming next? It's a question that hits a little closer to home than most of us probably want to admit. I want you to just picture this for a second. You have absolutely mastered the theory. You know the frameworks, your Gantt charts are perfect. But then day one on the job happens. Bam, the client changes the scope. Your budget gets slashed out of nowhere. A key team member quits. And suddenly, all that theory feels like it's a million miles away from the total chaos you're now facing. This right here is the classroom to reality gap. So where in the world does this gap even come from? Well, the root of the problem is really how we've always taught project management, through passive learning. You know what I'm talking about? Lectures, textbooks. Let's dig into why this approach just isn't enough to prepare you. Now, don't get me wrong, that theoretical knowledge, it's important. It gives you a foundation, a starting point, but it consistently fails to build the practical skills you need when things get messy. Let's look at 4 specific areas where it really falls short. Okay, the first big issue, making decisions that have 0 real consequences. I mean, in a classroom, you can analyze a case study about a budget overrun, sure, but you don't feel that stomach-churning stress of having to explain it to a really angry client. The pressure, the stakes, the whole human element, it's just not there. Next up, textbooks teach this beautiful, neat, linear process, right? You initiate, you plan, you execute, you close. It's so clean. But what's reality like? It's a mess. Projects are completely nonlinear. Things overlap, your stakeholders all want different things, and you're constantly forced to make judgment calls with, like, half the information you need. And then you have the time compression problem. A real project can go on for months, sometimes years. There is no way a semester-long course can replicate that experience. You totally miss out on those slow burn lessons, like how one tiny decision you made back in week 2 can snowball into a massive project-killing problem in month 10. And of course, let's not forget the classic one-size-fits-all approach. We all learn differently, at our own pace. A standard lecture might be way too basic for someone who's already got some experience. They're bored out of their mind. Or it's way too advanced for a total newcomer, and they're just left feeling frustrated and lost. It's just not built to adapt. So if passive learning has all these deep, fundamental flaws, what actually works? Well, the research on this is pretty clear. It gives us a great roadmap for how people develop real, usable skills. And hey, this isn't just a feeling people have, it's backed by the experts. The Project Management Institute itself points out that what you learn in a classroom often just isn't enough to handle the stress and the sheer uncertainty of modern projects. So what's the alternative? You see, effective training looks totally different. It has to have immediate feedback loops, so you see the results of your choices right away, not weeks later on a test. It needs realistic complexity, not these neat and tidy case studies. You absolutely have to have a safe space to fail, to mess up, and to learn from it without getting fired. And it has to adapt to your personal pace. And all of that brings us to a really powerful solution: simulation-based learning. This is the approach that takes all those principles of effective learning we just talked about and rolls them into an actual hands-on experience. Let's just look at this shift side by side. We move from being passive to being active. We go from delayed feedback on an exam to getting immediate feedback in the moment. From having 0 real consequences to seeing visible, realistic outcomes of your choices. This is the jump from a purely theoretical space to a safe environment where failure isn't just allowed, it's a critical learning tool. So how exactly do simulations bridge that gap we've been talking about? Well, first, they make every single decision matter. They can squeeze an entire year-long project into just a few hours, letting you see the long-term impact of your choices unfold right before your eyes. You have to deal with messy stakeholder conflicts. And maybe most importantly, when you mess up, and you will, it's not a career ender. It's a powerful lesson learned. This whole process creates something called the confidence and competence loop. And this is absolutely critical in high-stakes fields like construction and architecture, where one mistake in the real world can cost millions of dollars. By building genuine competence in a safe, simulated world, you develop the rock-solid confidence you need to perform when the pressure is really on. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem, and we've identified a really powerful solution. Now, let's talk about what this means in the real world. Let's get into some actionable advice for everyone who's involved in project management education. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, if you're a student, you need to actively look for programs that offer more than just lectures. Find the ones with simulations or real world projects. For educators, the goal has to be to get your students doing things, not just listening to you talk. And for organizations, for companies, you have to start asking the tough question. Is our training actually improving how people perform on the job? If the answer is no, it's time for a change. There's an analogy that just captures this whole idea perfectly. It says that knowledge without practice is like trying to learn how to swim by reading a book. I mean, you can read every book there is on swimming, understand the physics, the mechanics of every stroke, but you will never, ever learn to actually swim until you get in the water. Project management is exactly the same. So, I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. As you look at your own professional development or the training you provide for your teams, ask yourself this. Are we just building knowledge? Are we just filling people's heads with facts and frameworks? Or are we actually building real-world judgment, the one skill that truly separates a good project manager from a great one?